Hello everyone, and this is my review for TNA Impact Wrestling on April 3rd, 2015. And, they started off the show with what they called the final match between Eric Young and Bobby Roode. And in all honesty, a really good submission match, fun to watch and everything. But for storyline purposes, if they really wanted to just put Eric Young over in this storyline for future other storylines, they should have just done it in the last man standing match. I feel like they went one match too long with this feud for this time being. I felt that last man standing match. I said this when they originally did the match. That last man standing match was good for finishing that feud off for the time being, and then they could have come back to that feud later down the road when they needed to. So they tried to squeeze one more match out of it, and honestly, if they were doing it just to put Eric Young over in this case, success in there, but they could have just done that in the last man standing match and been done with it right then and there, and then they could have come back down to that feud at another point in time. But like I said before, overall good match. Then they did they also had a match with Gail Kim and Angelina Love. Pretty much actually they did Angelina Love did a decent storyline for a real quick build to this match in there, and it came off, which that promo did come off pretty good, talking about what she had done in the company and how everyone totes Gail Kim over her and everything like that. So it actually came off relatively good, and it was a good way of building a reason behind the match itself. And overall, with them again, both a really good match. Again, like I said before, with Bobby Roode and Eric Young, another fun and entertaining match. This time they did a good job of building a quick story behind it, and then putting Gail Kim over in that case. That it's not necessarily the wrong choice at this point in time. It depends where they decide to go with it, because they, at least in the terms of the Knockouts division, at least with the title, you have Tara Terrell and Awesome Kong at this point. If they do have a sub-storyline with Gail Kim and Angelina Love, I mean, they had done this in the past. It's not necessarily a bad thing to do it again right now, because it's been a little while. So we'll see where they go along with that. The promo from the Wolves, especially about the whole aspect of Eddie Edwards getting injured and breaking his heel. Unfortunate, because the Wolves are a very good tag team. So it's unfortunate that they'll have will have to be put on the shelf for a little while he heals. The promo that they delivered, pretty standard, but very good. Good and effective in this case. Of them basically talking about, they may be down at this point, but they're going to get themselves back up, and once he is, healed up from his injury, they will go back after the tag team titles. So they'll probably start some kind of tag team title tournament here within the next week or so, in order to get new tag champs, and then those people will probably have the tag belts for when the Wolves come back into action. So overall, relatively good promo in there. Good way for them to go out on that case, and I do like that they did show where the injury happened, why or like when it happened, everything like that. So you didn't really get too overly confused, because it did happen during the set of tapings of their one night onlys, which were which happened during the last set of tapings was actually airing. So I like that they went through everything in there to actually build that up. And just to build up everything, and then of course building for their eventual return. So we'll see who they decide to go with the tag team title tournament areas whenever they, because that's more than likely what they're going to go with anyway. I see no other reason why they wouldn't go with that kind of storyline. So we'll see who they have to go up against, who actually is in the tournament, everything in that aspect. So it should be an interesting one, at least with their tag team division over the next few months, just to see where they go with it, who they put together in order to try to replace the Wolves, and then who the champions are when the Wolves come back at that point in time. So we'll see how that storyline builds up over the next few weeks. The match with Bram and Magnus was... how do I put this one? How will I put this one? It was a good way if they're deciding to end Bram and Magnus in this case, but also an interesting way of starting a feud with Magnus and James Storm. The match itself, was an okay Falls Count Anywhere match. You really didn't get many. The whole aspect behind a Falls Count Anywhere is to, potentially have the match end in other areas outside the ring. So it always kind of baffles me a little bit when you have a Falls Count Anywhere match end in the ring. It should end on the staging area. It could end in the the backstage area. It's kind of weird that they decided to end it there. So overall, it was an okay match. Good way of ending Bram and Magnus, but the whole aspect of James Storm coming out mid-match to stop Bram from going after Mickie James, and then the subsequent promo afterwards was a good way of starting something between James Storm and Magnus and down the road there. And you had actually seen Bram teaming up with James Storm, or not teaming up, but talking with James Storm in the back area, so you can have a little subs area with Bram and Magnus still in there as well. So overall, that entire segment came off as really good to me. The match itself wasn't all that great, but overall still relatively good in terms of story building. This leads into the main event, which was of course Kurt Angle and Bobby Lashley for the TNA World Heavyweight title. And in all honesty, again, I really like this match, and they did a really good job of allowing Kurt Angle to go over in this case, but leaving subtleties in there to say, hey, we're going to have a third match in here, because obviously they went with the referee messing up his positioning, and actually Bobby Lashley had his shoulder up and everything on there, so they can play off that to get another match out of it. That's a good way of doing it in this case, just in my own personal aspect, because I felt that their rematch was a little rushed, and they didn't need to do it as quickly as they decided to go off and do it. But overall, again, like the first match a couple weeks ago, really good match, and I'm glad they're deciding to keep going along with this particular program, and we'll see where they actually go with it, and maybe even who they decide to interject in there as well, because they had that interjection last week with Eric Young and Bobby Roode and Mr. Anderson and EC3 and Austin Aries. You had all those areas in there, and we'll see if they decide to try to interject somebody in there and make it a triple threat of some kind down the road. So overall, this week's TNA Impact was a relatively good one. Like I said before, the matches were really good. Storyline-wise, for the most part, came off quite well throughout the entire night, with the exception of the aspect behind Eric Young and Bobby Roode in there. I felt that storyline needed to end during their last man standing match, but again, really good match between the two of them. So that's my review this week for TNA Impact Wrestling, and I thank you guys for watching.